Chapter 1. Early Life and Family. Donald Trump was born in a big city called New York City, in a part of the city called Queens. This was on the 14th of June, 1946. He was not the first child in his family. He was the fourth of 5 children. His family was important to him, and they helped him become the person he is today. His parents were Fred and Mary Trump. Fred Trump was a businessman. He worked in New York City building houses and other buildings. He also sold these buildings. He was very good at his job and made a lot of money. Mary Trump was a homemaker. She took care of the family in the house. She was from Scotland. Donald's parents were very different, but they both taught him important things. Donald grew up in a big house with his brothers and sisters. He was a lively child, and sometimes he got into trouble. He was not always the best student in school. His parents wanted him to learn discipline, so they sent him to a special school called the New York Military Academy. This school was like a school for soldiers. There, he learned to be more organized and follow rules. He also learned about leadership. After the military school, Donald went to university. He studied at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. This school is famous for teaching business. He learned about money, how to make deals, and how to run a company. He was a good student at university, and he was very interested in business. From a young age, Donald was interested in his family's business. He liked to watch his father work. He saw how his father built buildings and made money. He wanted to be like his father. He knew that he wanted to work in business too. He was not interested in other jobs. He wanted to be a builder and a businessman, just like his father. His family was very important to him. They influenced him in many ways. His father taught him about hard work and how to be successful. His mother taught him about being kind and caring. He learned from both of them. He also learned from his brothers and sisters. They were all part of his life, and they helped him become the person he is. Donald's family was not just his parents and siblings. His family also included the people who worked for his father's company. He saw how his father treated his workers. He learned that it was important to be fair and to treat people well. He also learned that it was important to be strong and to make good decisions. His family's business was a big part of his life. He grew up around buildings and construction sites. He saw how his father made deals and how he managed his company. This helped him learn about business. He knew that one day he would work in the family business. He was excited to start his own career. Donald's early life was important for his future. He learned about business, leadership, and hard work. He learned from his family and from his experiences. These things helped him become a successful businessman and later, a famous politician. His family was the foundation for everything he did. They gave him the skills and the confidence to achieve his goals. He was ready to start his own journey in the world of business. He was ready to make his own mark. Chapter 2. Starting in real estate. After finishing his studies, Donald Trump started working for his father's company in 1968. The company was called the Trump Organization. His father, Fred Trump, had a successful business building houses and apartments in New York City. Donald was interested in the business from a young age. He wanted to be involved and make it even bigger. At first, Donald worked on smaller projects. He learned about how to build and sell properties. He learned about money and how to make good deals. He watched his father closely and learned a lot from him. Donald was ambitious, and he wanted to do bigger things than his father had done. In 1971, a very important change happened. The company changed its name. It became the Trump Organization. This was a sign that Donald was becoming more important in the business. He started to make his own decisions and have his own ideas. He was not just working for his father anymore. He was starting to lead the company. Donald Trump decided to focus on Manhattan. This is a very important part of New York City, where many rich people live and work. He was not interested in building small houses like his father. He wanted to build very expensive buildings and take on big projects. He started to buy old buildings or empty spaces in Manhattan. Then, he would build new, modern buildings. He often focused on buildings that had a special or important location. He wanted to make his buildings the most impressive in the city. His buildings were big, with shiny glass and gold colors. They were very noticeable. One of his early successes was the Grand Hyatt Hotel. It was a big and fancy hotel. It was built in a place that was not very nice before. Many people thought it was a big risk, but Donald Trump made it very successful. This hotel showed that he could take a risk and make it work. He was becoming known as someone who could make important projects successful. He started to become famous in New York City. People knew him as a businessman who was not afraid to take chances. He had a style that was different from other business people. He was loud and confident. He liked to be in the news and have his picture taken. He was good at making people notice him and his buildings. However, his early years in real estate were not always easy. He had some problems with the law. There were arguments with people he worked with. He was accused of not paying people fairly. Some people thought he was too aggressive. But he always tried to make sure that he stayed on top and kept his business growing. Donald Trump was working very hard. He was using his energy and his ideas to grow his family's business. He was making his own name and becoming known in the city. The Trump Organization was becoming bigger and more important. He was not just in his father's shadow anymore. He was building his own place in the world of real estate. This period of his life was important because it helped him learn about business and become the person he would later be. It also showed how he was different from his father and how he was willing to take big risks. Chapter 3. Building a Big Business. After making his mark in the New York real estate scene, Donald Trump began to think bigger. He wasn't just interested in apartment buildings. He wanted to create grand projects that would make his name famous. In the 1980s, he started to develop hotels, casinos, and golf courses. These weren't just regular businesses. They were designed to be luxurious and attract attention. One of his most ambitious projects was the Grand Hyatt Hotel in New York City. It was a big, modern hotel that showed Trump's style. He also built the Trump Tower, a tall skyscraper on Fifth Avenue. This building became famous for its fancy apartments and shops. These projects helped to make his name known not just in New York, but all over the world. Trump also saw the potential in the casino business. He built several casinos in Atlantic City, New Jersey. These casinos, like the Trump Plaza and Trump Taj Mahal, were large and extravagant. They were intended to be the best places for gambling and entertainment. These projects helped to build his reputation as a businessman who could build big and impressive things. He didn't just focus on buildings. Trump also began to develop golf courses. He created luxurious golf clubs and resorts. These places were popular with people who enjoyed golf and wanted to relax in a fancy setting. His golf courses, like his hotels and casinos, were often very expensive and attracted people who wanted the best. Trump was very good at using his name to start new businesses. He put his name on everything from hotels to steaks to books. This strategy helped him to make even more money and become more famous. He created a brand that people recognized all over the world. He knew how to make his name a symbol of success and luxury. However, not everything went smoothly. In the 1990s, some of his businesses had problems. The casino business in Atlantic City struggled, and some of his companies had trouble paying back their debts. Even when things were difficult, Trump tried to keep a positive public image. He understood that how people saw him was very important to his success. He often talked about how he was a successful businessman, even if his companies were facing challenges. Trump was also good at making deals. He made agreements with other companies to use his name on different projects. This meant he could earn money without having to build everything himself. These deals helped him to expand his business into other countries. His name became known in many places around the world. Despite the difficulties and setbacks, Trump continued to build his business empire. He was always looking for new opportunities and ways to make his brand more successful. He knew that to stay at the top, he had to keep working hard and making big moves. He was not afraid to take risks and often made deals that other people thought were too dangerous. This bold approach was a key part of his success. In this period, he showed his skills in marketing and in making his name a valuable asset. He was not just a builder, he was also a brand. His ability to use his name to create different types of businesses helped him to become very rich and very famous. This time in his life was important in shaping the man he would later become. He had built a strong business and had learned important lessons about success and failure. Chapter 4. The Television Show and Being Famous. In the early 2000s, Donald Trump was already a well-known businessman. He had built big buildings and made a name for himself. But he wanted to be even more famous. He found a new way to do this: television. In 2004, he started a television show called The Apprentice. The Apprentice was a show where people competed for a job in one of Trump's companies. Each week, the people had to do different business tasks. Trump would watch them, and at the end of the week, he would say to one person, "You're fired." This became a very famous line. The show was a big success. People liked watching Trump act like a powerful boss. They liked seeing him make important decisions. The Apprentice showed Trump as a very successful businessman, someone who was strong and smart. It made people think of him as a winner. The show also made his name and his brand, Trump, very popular. People started to know his name even more than before. The television show was not just good for his fame, it was also good for his businesses. People started to want to stay in Trump hotels, play at Trump casinos, and golf at Trump golf courses. They wanted to be part of his world. The show helped him to make even more money. Trump became a television star. He was on television a lot, not just on The Apprentice. He did interviews and was on other shows. People wanted to know what he thought about things. He was good at being on television. He spoke in a clear and easy way, and people liked to listen to him. He knew how to get people's attention. He also used his fame to do other things. He wrote books, like The Art of the Deal and Trump, How to Get Rich. These books sold very well. People wanted to know his secrets to success. He used his books to make even more money and become more popular. His television show also made him more confident in himself. He started to think of himself as a very important and influential person. The television show helped him to build a strong image or brand for himself. He was now more than just a businessman. He was a celebrity. Trump's time on television changed him. He became very well known in the United States and even in other countries. He learned how to talk to people through television. This skill would be very important for him later. He used his celebrity to make a lot of money. His success in television made him think about other things he could do. He started to believe he could do anything. He saw that people listened to him, and he liked that feeling. He became someone who was always in the news. People always wanted to know what he was doing or saying. He went from being a businessman to a television star. This made him even more popular and powerful. He was no longer just known for his buildings, but also for his television personality. This change would have a big effect on his future, especially when he thought about going into politics. His time on television was a very important part of his life story, and it helped him to become the person that people know today. Chapter 5: Starting in Politics. Donald Trump was not just a businessman and a television star. He also started to think about politics. For many years, he had talked about what he thought was good for America. He sometimes said things about how the government should work. He was often on television and in newspapers, sharing his opinions. He had supported different political parties in the past. Sometimes he supported the Democrats, and sometimes the Republicans. He was known to give money to both parties, but over time, he started to lean more towards the Republican Party. He believed that their ideas about business and the country were closer to his own. In the early 2000s, people began to talk about Donald Trump as a possible candidate for president. Some people liked the idea because he was a successful businessman and a celebrity. Others did not think he had the right experience to be a political leader. At first, he did not say if he would run for president. He kept people guessing. In 2011, he thought about running for president, but he decided not to. He continued to talk about politics and what he thought was wrong with the country. He was very good at getting attention. He used social media like Twitter to talk directly to people. He often talked about the economy, jobs, and how to make America stronger. Then, in 2015, Donald Trump made a big announcement. He said he was going to run for president of the United States. He joined the race for the Republican Party's nomination. Many people were surprised. Some thought he was not serious, but he was very determined. His campaign was different from other politicians. He did not act like a typical politician. He was very direct and often said things that other politicians would not say. He talked about building a wall on the border with Mexico and about stopping illegal immigration. He also said he would bring back jobs to America and make the country richer. He used social media a lot during his campaign. He tweeted often and made short videos. This helped him to connect with a lot of people. He spoke at many big rallies, and thousands of people came to see him. He was good at getting people excited. During the campaign, he had arguments with other Republicans who also wanted to be president. He was often very critical of them and called them names. He also had problems with the media. He said that some news organizations were unfair to him. Despite these problems, Donald Trump became very popular with many Republican voters. They liked that he was an outsider, not a typical politician. They thought he would bring new ideas and changes to Washington. His supporters liked how he spoke and believed that he would do good things for the country. In the end, Donald Trump won the Republican Party's nomination. This meant that he would be the Republican candidate for president in the election. This was a big surprise for many people, and it changed the political landscape of the United States. He had shown that he could win, even when many people did not think he could. Chapter 6. The 2016 election. The year was 2016. And Donald Trump was not just a businessman or a television star anymore. He was a serious political candidate. He had won the Republican Party nomination, and now he was running for president of the United States. His main opponent was Hillary Clinton, a very experienced politician who had been First Lady, a senator, and Secretary of State. The election campaign was very different from any other campaign before. Trump did things his own way. He held big rallies where many people came to see him. He spoke in a very direct way, using simple language that many people understood. He often spoke about making America great again. This was his main slogan, "Make America Great Again." He promised to bring back jobs to the United States, to make the country's borders stronger, and to put America first in all decisions. Trump used social media a lot, especially Twitter. He would post many messages every day, sharing his thoughts and ideas. He would also criticize his opponents and anyone who disagreed with him. This was very different from how other politicians use social media. He communicated directly with his supporters, without going through traditional news channels. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, had a more traditional approach. She held smaller events and gave speeches about her plans for the country. She spoke about her experience and her ideas for healthcare, education, and the economy. She tried to show that she was the most experienced and qualified person for the job. She had the support of many important people in the Democratic Party. The two candidates had very different ideas about the future of the United States. They also had very different personalities and ways of communicating. Trump was often seen as a strong and confident outsider, while Clinton was seen as a more traditional and experienced politician. As the campaign went on, there were many arguments and debates. Trump and Clinton often criticized each other in very strong ways. There were also many discussions about the issues that were important to the country, such as immigration, healthcare, and the economy. One of the big things that happened during the campaign was the way that the news covered it. Trump's rallies and tweets were often the main topic of discussion. Many people watched the campaign closely. They had very strong feelings about both candidates, either supporting them or not liking them. On Election Day, millions of people voted. The results were very close. In the end, Donald Trump won the election, even though Hillary Clinton got more individual votes. This is because of how the American electoral system works. This system uses electoral college votes rather than just the popular vote. Many people were surprised by the result. After the election, there were many protests and discussions. Some people were happy, others were very upset. The country was divided. Trump started to prepare to become the next president of the United States. He chose people to work in his government and started to plan his first actions in office. The 2016 election was a big moment in American history. It was a different kind of campaign, with a result that surprised many people. It changed the political landscape and showed how important the role of social media can be in elections. It was the beginning of a new chapter for Donald Trump and for the United States. Chapter 7. His first time as president. Donald Trump became the President of the United States in January 2017. It was a big change for him, moving from a businessman and television star to the most powerful person in the country. He walked into the White House with a lot of new ideas and a promise to make America great again. One of the first things he did was to make big changes to the laws about taxes. He wanted to make taxes lower for businesses and for many people. He said this would help the economy grow and create jobs. He also changed some of the rules that businesses had to follow. He believed these rules were too strict and stopped businesses from growing. Another important thing he did was to choose new judges for the courts. Judges make important decisions about laws, and Trump wanted judges who thought like him. He chose many new judges, including 3 for the Supreme Court, the highest court in the country. This was a big deal because these judges can stay in their jobs for a very long time. Trump also worked on making new deals about trade with other countries. He thought some of the old deals were not good for America. He made new deals with countries like Canada and Mexico. He also changed the way America worked with other countries in other ways, sometimes making relationships more difficult. For example, he pulled the USA out of the Paris Agreement, a big deal about climate change. His time as president wasn't without problems. There were many investigations into his actions and the actions of his team. Some people said he had done things wrong, and there were lots of arguments about it. These investigations made his time as president very complicated and difficult. He also had a very different relationship with the media than other presidents. He used Twitter a lot to talk directly to people. He often criticized newspapers and television channels that he thought were not fair to him. This created a lot of discussion and arguments. People had very strong opinions about him and how he used social media. In 2019, there was a big event called an impeachment. The people in the House of Representatives voted to say that Trump had done something wrong and should be removed from office. However, the people in the Senate voted not to remove him, so he stayed as president. This was a very difficult time for him. Then, in 2020, a big problem came. The COVID-19 pandemic. This was a new sickness that spread around the world and made many people very sick. It also hurt the economy. Trump and his team had to find a way to deal with this big problem. They made decisions about how to protect people and help the economy. There were different opinions on how well they did. The COVID-19 pandemic changed a lot of things in the world, including in the United States. It also had a big effect on Donald Trump and his time as president. It was a big challenge for him and for the country. It's safe to say his first term in office was full of important moments, big changes, and many difficulties. It was a time that people will remember for a long time. Chapter 8. Losing the election. In 2020, the United States had another big election. Donald Trump was running for a second time as president. His opponent was Joe Biden. Joe Biden was from the Democratic Party. The election was different because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people were sick, and there were new rules for voting. People voted by mail, and some people voted early. This made things more complicated. The election campaign was very difficult. Trump traveled to different places and gave speeches. He talked about his successes as president. He said that he had made the economy better and that he had made the country safer. He also talked about Joe Biden. He said that Joe Biden was not strong enough to be president. Joe Biden also traveled and gave speeches. He talked about the problems with how Trump was leading the country. He said he would be a president for all Americans. Many people watched the election very closely. There was a lot of news about the election. People argued about who would win. Some people were very happy with Trump as president. Other people were not happy with him. They wanted a new president. On election day, people voted. It took a long time to count all the votes. In the end, Joe Biden won the election. He got more votes than Donald Trump. But Donald Trump did not agree with the results. He said that the election was not fair. He said that there were problems with how people voted. He said that some votes were not counted, and that some votes should not have been counted. Trump and his team started legal problems. They asked the courts to look at the election results again. They wanted the courts to say that Trump had won. But the courts did not agree with them. They said that the election was fair. They said that there was no proof that there were big problems with the voting. Some of Trump's supporters were very angry. They did not believe that Trump had lost. They thought that the election had been stolen. On the 6th of January 2021, there was a big protest in Washington, D.C. Many people went to the Capitol, where the government works. Some people went inside the Capitol building. This was very dangerous and against the law. There was a big riot. People broke things and fought with police. This was a very sad and scary day for the United States. Many people blamed Donald Trump for what happened. They said that he made people angry and that he told them to go to the Capitol. They started another investigation. They wanted to know if Trump did anything wrong. They wanted to know if he should be held responsible for the riot. On the 20th of January, 2021, Joe Biden became the new president. Donald Trump left office. He did not go to the ceremony when Joe Biden became president. He went back to his home in Florida. His time as president was over, but he was still a very important person in American politics. Many people still talked about him and what he did as president. Chapter 9. Coming Back. After Donald Trump left the White House in 2021, he didn't go away. He was still important in the Republican Party. Many people still liked him and his ideas. He continued to have big meetings and talk to his supporters. He often said the 2020 election was not fair, but there was no proof of this. Trump had some problems with the law after being president. He had many cases in court. Some were about his businesses, and some were about things he was accused of doing. Even with these problems, many Republicans still liked Trump. He said he might run for president again in 2024. In 2022, he said he would run. His campaign talked about the economy and immigration. He said he would make America great again, like before. The 2024 election was very important. Trump easily won the Republican vote. It looked like he would run against President Joe Biden. But Biden didn't do well in a debate, so he stopped running. Then, Kamala Harris became the Democratic candidate. Trump's campaign was different this time. He didn't use social media as much. He had more big meetings and speeches. He talked about jobs, immigration, and other countries. He said he would bring back jobs and make the country safer. He also said bad things about the Democrats. The election was in November 2024. It was close, but Trump won. He got more votes in the Electoral College. He also got more votes from the people. Many people were surprised. It was special because he was only the second person to be president twice, not one after the other. After the election, Trump started to get ready to go back to the White House. He chose people to work with him. He had about 75 days to get his team ready before he became president again in January 2025. As Trump got ready for his second time as president, people wondered what would happen. He had promised big changes. His return to the White House was a new part of American history. People waited to see what would happen with Trump as president again. Chapter 10. His second time as president. Donald Trump became president again on the 20th of January 2025. It was his second time being president. He was also president before, from 2017 to 2021. Trump is the second president in the USA to have 2 times as president that were not one after the other. The first one was Grover Cleveland in the past. He cannot be president a third time because of a rule in the Constitution. When Trump came back to the White House in 2025, he kept doing some of the things he did before. But he also started making new changes. He made new laws about things in the country and changed how the USA talked to other countries. Another important thing for Trump was the economy. He wanted to lower taxes for businesses. He thought this would help the economy and make more jobs. Trump also focused on trade. He wanted to put new taxes on things that come from other countries. He thought this would help American businesses and bring jobs back to the USA. His ideas were part of his America First plan, which meant he wanted to put America's needs first in trade. Trump also wanted to change rules and laws. He thought there were too many rules that made it hard for businesses. He wanted to change many rules, especially for energy and the environment. For example, he wanted to let more companies drill for oil and gas. He also wanted to change the environmental rules that the last president, Joe Biden, made. Trump's plan was to reduce rules for technology, energy, and the environment to help the economy and support the production of coal, oil, and gas. In his second time as president, Trump had a special way of working with Congress and the news. The Republican Party controlled both parts of Congress, so it was easier for him to pass laws. He used social media, especially X, Twitter in the past, to talk to people directly. People had different ideas about Trump's second time as president. Some people liked his ideas and thought he was making the USA stronger. They liked his focus on the economy and less rules. Other people did not agree with his ideas and were worried about the country. They did not like his plans, his ideas about the environment, and how he talked to the news. As his second time as president went on, people wondered how he would be remembered. Would he be remembered as a president who helped the economy and USA stronger? Only time will show what people will think about Donald Trump's time as president.